Hey guys, back for another week. Cook along with me, Adam Purnell from Young Shrewsbury. You've been coming back for many weeks now. We're back into sort of normality after doing veganuary for a few weeks. This week we've got a vegetarian dish, but vegetarian, vegan, massively different because you can still use animal products. There's just no meat in this one, but we are going to be using some cheese, some halloumi to make some amazing halloumi burgers. We're going to make an awesome slaw, which uses mayonnaise, which obviously has eggs in it as well. So that's an animal product. And then we're going to also make some sweet potato fries as well. Sweet potato is amazing ingredient. It's got loads of properties with regards to being a carbohydrate. It's full of sugars, but they're good sugars, and it really is a slow burner, and these are much better for you than normal potatoes. So what we're going to do is, if you guys are doing this at home now, get your oven set for as high as it goes, about 220. We want this because we normally you make fries, you're going to fry them, right? But we're not going to fry them because using a fry is dangerous, and it's also not as healthy as doing what we're going to do now. So instead, we're going to get the oil that's on them really hot in the oven and roast them. So sort of like doing roast potatoes. Okay, so first things first, you're going to take these are quite big sweet potatoes, okay? You get them all different shapes and sizes, but you can cut them to roughly the same size. We're going to leave the skin on. One, because I'm lazy and I can't be bothered to peel them. Two, because it's tasty. And three, it actually helps the fries to hold together a little bit better because sweet potato can go a little bit kind of soft and fall apart. So I'm just going to slice that. You might need to get an adult to help you with this. Slice it down into fries, okay? So I'm going to cut it in, first of all, into sort of centimetre thick slices. So just work the knife down the middle, okay? And as I say, you need to make sure that you get some help with this if it's going to be tricky for you. Don't want anybody losing any fingers. They can be quite tough, old sweet potato. So just take your time, make sure your fingers are well out of the way. Alright, so these are nice and long. So what I'm going to do now, I've got these slices, okay? So I'm going to slice them into nice thin chips. Okay, so straight down the middle, like this. These are probably a little bit long, because these are long sweet potatoes, quite big ones. So I've cut those, I'm just going to cut one more out of that one, into lengthways like that. And because they're long, and I think you guys have had it delivered today, I've got long big ones like this as well. I'm going to cut them then across. So you've got where you've sliced it down, cut it across like that, and you end up with chips. Okay, so they're going to go into a pan and do the rest as well. So this one, so we're going to go long, 2, 3, 4. You want to make sure they're all roughly the same size, thickness wise, so that when they cook evenly. Because if some of them are really thick and others are really thin, some are going to burn and the others are going to be undercooked. Okay, so you need to make sure you get them all about the same size. That's all that matters really. You could cut them into wedges if you want. You cut them into discs if you want. You know, whatever shape you like. But I want fries today because if you're having a burger, you know, fries go with burgers. And that's what we're having. Right, last bit. I think one sweet potato will probably do 3 or 4 people. They're massive, these big ones. So I'm just going to do the one. And they are all in my pan. Okay, my oven's already running. So what I'm going to do with these now, take some oil, okay, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, anything like that is fine, vegetable oil. Put a drizzle of that, maybe about a tablespoon over it, okay. Then we're going to go, I've got some cayenne pepper here. I'm just going to add a sprinkle of that. Now cayenne's quite hot, so if you don't like it spicy, don't use much of it, yeah? It's a lot hotter than normal pepper. I'm going to put some normal black pepper on there as well. I like mine spicy. Okay, and then a good pinch of salt as well. And then just going to get your hands in there and just coat those chips, okay, so that every single one is fully coated in the spices and the oil, okay? Then we're going to spread them around in the tray so that they're nice and even, okay? And bung them in the oven on the highest heat you can. And then in about 10 minutes, we're going to check them, spin them around, and just give them a turn. And then they probably should take about 20 minutes in total. So whilst they're cooking, we'll go on to cook everything else. I'm just going to pop these in my oven. And then we'll move on to the next bit. So, slaw, okay? Coleslaw, something that a lot of people might turn their nose up at. It's, you know, in the stuff from the supermarket is soggy, it's a bit rough. But make your own coleslaw, get it right, and it's absolutely wicked. And it's a good way of getting vegetables inside you without really noticing, okay? Raw vegetables at that as well. So they're the best possible vegetables you can eat. If you eat vegetables raw, you get all of the goodness. As soon as you start cooking vegetables, then you kind of start to lose some of that goodness. So what we're going to do for that is we're going to start with some cabbage, all right? So most people hate cabbage, but raw, it's awesome, all right? So what we're going to do, you can use any kind of cabbage, by the way. So if you've got a Savoy cabbage, which is like the curly looking one, you've got a red cabbage, you've got a white cabbage, any cabbage is fine. I happen to have a white one today. Right, so the cabbage goes a long way too, right? So all I'm going to do is just slice the edge off, because I can use this for something else. I'm not going to use a whole cabbage, right? Take the bit that you sliced and pop it flat side down on your board, all right? And then with your knife, just very carefully cut it into the thinnest possible strips. Because it's in layers, it will just fall apart, okay? So I'm just going to work all the way down. And you see how my knuckles are the guide for my knife. My fingers, if you put your fingers like that, you can chop them, okay? If you cut your fingers like this, so your knife rests against them, you can chop really finely and you're never going to cut your fingers, okay? Right, so just going to slice that all the way along. Alrighty, all the way down. Just taking my time to get it nice and thin, because what you don't want is massive chunks. It's a bit like the chips. Everything in this needs to kind of be about the same. Okay, so into a bowl goes the cabbage. Just get the rest of the scraps off the table. Okay, we've got quite a few different things to go into this one. So the next thing to go in is going to be a couple of carrots. Now I would grate these if I were you. It's much easier than trying to cut them really thinly. So you've got a decent grater. Just bang a few carrots in there. So I'm going to go for 2. This is going to make you a whole ton of coleslaw. So you can use it today, but then this will keep in the fridge for like 3 or 4 days. It does go a little bit softer. It goes a little bit more like the coleslaw you get in the supermarket as you leave it. And that's basically because the salt that we're going to put in will draw the moisture out, and then obviously makes everything out of the vegetables, that is, and it makes everything a little bit soggier. All right. So it's good to make it fresh and eat it fresh, but it is just as nice to have the next day if you don't mind it a little bit wilted. Okay. So that's 2 carrots gone into there. You're going to have a ton of coleslaw from this, and it's not really that much veg. I'm going to put that to one side. Okay, next we're going to go in. I've got a sweet pepper here. Okay, you can use the round ones. This just happens to be a pointy one that looks like a chili pepper. It's not a chili pepper. Okay, it's a sweet one. It's just the same, just a different shape. So what we're going to do, for you guys, normally I'd say pop it in the middle and rip it in half. Okay, and you can do that with the big ones much easier than you can the little ones. But next thing I would say is open your pepper up like that. And again, we're going to cut it into nice thin strips. Okay, like this, all the way down. And because it's quite long, just like with the chips, once I've sliced it long ways, lengthways, I'm going to slice it across to make sure that those strands are a little bit shorter. There's 1 or 2 pips there, I'm not worried about that. You can spend time picking them out if you like, doesn't bother me though. Okay, so they go into the slaw. 1 red onion. Okay, top off, bottom off. And then what we're going to do is just slice it in half, peel it. So 1 slice there. And 2. And then I'm just going to slice that down the middle, nice and thinly. Again, trying to keep it as thin as you sliced your cabbage. Yeah, nice and thin. Go for a second. A bit of raw red onion. Red onion is a little bit milder than white onion, so it's good for a coleslaw because you don't want anything that's going to blow your brains out. Okay, that's going to go into your slaw. And then finally, going for this bad boy. So this is a celeriac. Okay, this is a root vegetable. It's from the celery family. Okay, so it's kind of got a celery flavour. You can boil this like a potato, make it into mash. But what we're going to do today is going to grate it. So We're not going to need anywhere near this, so what I'm going to do is, again, you're going to have to get an adult. If you've got like a chunk, just be careful slicing it up because you could end up hurting yourself. All right, but I'm just going to take maybe a quarter. Probably won't even use a quarter, but it's easier to slice it that way. So I'm just going to take off the outer bits because they're a bit rough. And you've got like quite sort of nice white flesh on the inside. And it smells a little bit like celery, you'll notice as you slice it. But it's a good firm vegetable, great for grating into a coleslaw. Alright, so here we go. So we're going to bang that through my grater. And you'll see it's coming out lovely. You just want to have like roughly equal amounts of everything. So just keep grating it until you think you've got about the same amount as you had the carrot. And then stop. And you can use the rest to make some mash or something. It goes wicked on a shepherd's pie. Right, just going to keep grating that. That'll do. Right, put the rest of that to one side for another day. Alright, so in there now, I'm just having a little clean up. We have carrots, onions, peppers, cabbage and celeriac. So there's a real good mix of vegetables. Get your hands in there and just mix it all together, okay? Because you did put one on top of the other, you're going to get layers of different stuff. So you need to make sure that everything is mixed in. Because every mouthful you get, you want to have a little bit of everything in it. Right, so your slaw, before you put anything on it, should look like that. Alright, so just going to get rid of these bits that I've made a mess with. Next bit is making the sauce that's going to go onto it. So, take a small bowl, because we're also going to use this sauce on the burger too. So you're doing 2 birds with 1 stone here. Right, we're going to start with some decent mayonnaise. So you probably want like, I don't know, maybe 3 tablespoons, 2 to 3. I'm going to go for it depends how much you like, as saucy you like it. That's probably 3 tablespoons there, I reckon. Then we're going to go in with a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. Okay, into there. The same like that you don't like mustard, but when you mix it all together in this, trust me, it's wicked. So give it a try. I'm going to go for, I've just put my spoon in there, so I'm going to use my fingers, but about a teaspoon of smoked paprika. Going to give it a little smoky flavour. Have a nice smoky coleslaw. It's going to be really cool. Okay, a little bit of pepper. Teaspoon, a bit of salt again, and then if you've got any vinegar, I've got red wine vinegar here. If you've got cider vinegar, even if you've got malt vinegar, just some acidity in there, just a splash. So maybe like, I don't know, tablespoon tops, okay, in there. And then we're going to mix all of that together, and you'll have a badass coleslaw mayo. Really is good. It's kind of like nice little orangey colour, and it's always good to have a taste. Well, you could like, some people like to make a sweeter coleslaw, so you could put a little bit of honey in there, or even like a little bit of golden syrup or something like that. I'm not going to bother today. You guys can. It also depends on what vegetables you're using as well. The peppers and the carrots are already quite sweet, so you don't necessarily need to add sweetness. If you're just using, say, like cabbage and onion, then you might want to add some sweetness because they don't have much natural sugar. Alright, anyway, talking too much, Adam. Right, so we've got our sauce. Just as always, before you dump it in that coleslaw, just have a little, mate, that's banging. Woo! You're really going to like that. Okay, the next thing, we're not going to dress this yet, just because, like I said to you before, the longer that this, especially with the salt in it, the longer that it's on the vegetables, it's going to draw the moisture out of the vegetables and make it soggy. So have that ready, but we're going to dress this right at the last minute. Next thing we're going to do is check on those wedges, or those chips. So I'm just going to go and grab them and see what's going on. it's hot. Ha! Don't try this at home, do it closer to your oven than I'm doing. But basically, they're starting to cook, looking really good. Okay, so I'm just going to help them along, move them around. You'll see that probably the undersides that have been touching the pan are starting to caramelise and go golden, which is great. But it means that the other side won't have. So if you kind of try and flip them over where you can, I'm just going to have them, give them a move around. Make sure that they're not overlapping each other in any way, because they won't cook as well as if they're kind of free for the air, the hot air to flow over them. All right. So, okay. They're ready to go back in the oven. Excuse me for 30 seconds. Okay, right then. The next thing to do is think about these burgers, right? So, first things first, we've got this halloumi cheese, right? Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of halloumi cheese. Hopefully you have, because it's one of the most amazing things on the planet. I absolutely love it. But basically, it's a cheese from Cyprus originally, and you can cut it. The difference to this, with this to most cheeses, is basically you can fry it, and it goes crispy on the outside, doesn't melt, so it stays in patties or in chunks, yeah. And it's kind of got like a squeaky, salty, crazy vibe going on. It's really cool. You're gonna love it. So it always comes in packs that have got a little bit of water inside them. Though, like you've heard of curds and whey, a little Miss Muffet. Well, the whey is what's left in here, and it keeps the cheese moist. So as you open the packet, just be careful, because it's going to be in there, be some liquid. So I'm going to keep that upright and put it to one side. So you've got your block of cheese. Okay. Now, I'd say a block is going to do 3 substantial burgers, or 4, probably a little bit more stingy burgers. All right. So I'm going to go for 3. There's 3 of us here today anyway. I've got to feed, so that's perfect. So that means that basically I'm going to cut it in half down the middle, and then each side will be cut into 3. So if we go 1 there and 1 there, we've got 3 even slices there. And same again this side, so 1 there and 1 there. Perfect. So we've got 6 slices of cheese. How easy was that? Right. Next thing you need to do is we're going to toast our buns. So you always got to get your buns prepped ready for building a burger, right? That's key, because if you get those cooked and you haven't sorted everything else out, they're going to go cold. It's not going to be as good, right? So let's get a pan on. So in a dry pan, I'm going to get a dry pan up to heat. You want it on fairly high heat, okay? Wait till it gets hot, and then you can take your burger buns. This is going to transform your burgers, you know? Using just a soft bun is rubbish. Toast your buns, you'll notice a difference. Right, so they're going to go face down, no oil in the pan. You probably have to do 2 rounds if you're making 3 or 4, because you probably won't fit them all in at once. I've got 2 there, so I'm going to cook those off, and I'll show you where you want to stop. So you're just going to let this will heat up in no time. Let the pan do the work. You'll probably start to hear or smell a little bit of smoke. You look at any like pictures of real delicious looking burgers, even McDonald's toast their buns, right? And you can kind of see that caramelization on the outside. That's what we're looking for, alright? So just keep them on there until they're almost burning. It will make a huge difference to the flavour. Don't obviously let them burn, because that will make the flavour nasty, alright? I'm just waiting for those. I'm starting to see, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, wisps of smoke coming off these already. Yeah, there's a little bit of toasting going on. A little bit of toasting going on, yeah, they're not going to take long at all. Spin them around, you can move them around in the pan if you like. Okay. What we're going to do is we're going to get these made ready to load. We're going to then put the stuff into the sauce into the coleslaw. Get that ready, and then all we need to do is pull our fries out, and happy days, we'll be ready to go. Right, let's have a look at these. Okay, good, you can see that's nicely toasted now. That's ready to come off. If there any more than that, it's going to burn. Perfect. Okay, those two are looking good as well. It's slightly almost started to burn there, but that's perfect. That's what I want to see. And we've got one more pan to do. One more bun, sorry. And now the pan's hot, this will literally take seconds. Getting smoke coming off in here. It's always so smoky in my house doing this. Right. Look how quickly that toasted because it was hot. Alright, cool. So, turn the power off. Okay. Next thing. I always have tomato and I always have lettuce on my burger. Okay? You guys don't have to. I'm going to. So I'm just going to slice up some lettuce. Here. That should be enough for 3 burgers, I reckon. And then these big fat tomatoes, looking great. You want maybe 2 slices each on a burger. So take the top off. So we're going to go for 6 slices. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Cool. Put the rest to one side. Use it for something else. Okay. Now we're going to take. Let me just check where the lids go here. So that's the lid for that one. That's the lid for that one, and that's the lid for that one. I think. Yeah. Lids there. Oh, it's confusing. Yeah. There we go. Put it right way around. Right. Okay. Next thing then. I'm going to take the mayo that we made. Okay. Put that onto the base. All right. Nice splodge of that. 2 and 3. Nice. Can't wait to eat this. I'm starving. Smells so good, that mayo. Right. That's that sorted. So then we're going to hit it with slices of tomato. You know what? I've sliced 6, but I think actually just 1 on each will be plenty. Now it's there, so I can use that tomato in something else later. I might even eat one now. Love tomato. Right, needed that. Okay, so now loosen up your lettuce, and then we're going to load that on there as well. Okay, like 1, 2, and 3. Let's use all my lettuce up. That's a good estimation of how much I needed. And then I'm going to put a little bit more of this on the top as the lid as well. Don't need a lot, just a little bit. Okay. Now, when we cook the buns, we use the dry pan. But to fry the halloumi, we need to make sure there's some fat in the pan. So, get your heat back on. Okay. Put a glug of oil into the pan. Whoops, it's plenty. Probably want like 10, I don't know, tablespoon of oil, just so that it's not going to stick to the pan. Right? Get it nice and hot, and then we're just going to pop these down. It won't take very long, especially if you've got a pan as ferocious as this one. Okay, so pop those in. You can hear them frying away. Okay, and what you'll see is some liquid will start to come out of them, and that needs to happen before they'll caramelise. You just let them sit, okay? People are always tempted to turn them over really, really quickly, but then they kind of sweat them rather than fry. So you let the liquid come out, and then you'll get the caramelisation. Just leave that for a second. I'm gonna eat these bits of tomato just so they're in the way. Okay. So I'm starting to see around the edges of this cheese now some colour. So it's time to give them a flip. And they're lovely and golden and brown on the one side already. Perfect. What we want. Doesn't take very long at all, as you can see. Right? Loads quicker than making burgers, but so delicious, promise you. Alright, so they're just drying up. I'm going to show you what colour you need on them once they're done, so don't worry, I realise you can't see. I've only got one camera at the moment. It's difficult to give you lots of angles without moving everything. Okay, so That one looks like it's not quite done on the other side. Smoke is coming off this thing. So hot. Really could do with some extraction in here, but never mind. Okay, so I'm going to turn the power off because I think they're done. Right, so what we're looking for is that. Okay, so nicely golden on both sides. That's going to give you loads and loads of flavour, caramelisation, alright? So that is there. So we're going to get these, they're just going to rest for a sec. Okay. Nearly there. Oops. Sometimes it falls apart, this halloumi, but it doesn't matter. You can just put it back together again to go on your burger. Alright? So that's off. Great. What we need to do now for the burgers, in fact I'm going to let that sit there for a minute whilst I take care of this coleslaw. So the next thing we're going to do with this is, so we've got all the raw veggies in there. So I want you to pour in your sauce. Now, if you get coleslaw in the supermarket, as I said, it's really, really sloppy and kind of like lots and lots of sauce. You could make more sauce if you like it like that. I like just a light coating, so it's almost like a salad dressing rather than the really sort of stodgy stuff, and it's much better for you as well because mayonnaise ain't good for you. You ever seen how mayonnaise is made? It's basically pure fat and egg yolks, right? But it's literally just buckets and buckets of oil. It ain't good for you, so don't use loads of it, right? So I'm just going to put that in there and then just work it all into those vegetables. So it's really kind of light. It might actually need, I might have actually underestimated that. I might need a tiny bit more mayo, to be fair. But that's fine, just give it a little bit extra if you're worried. The other flavours are in there. Okay, so I'm just going to work that again. See, I don't always get it right, nobody always gets it right. But judge it, go by your own judgment. Have a look at it, think, does that look like coleslaw should look? But as soon as you start to see that it's all coated, like that, yeah, that is good, that's done. Whoops, flicking it all over the place. Right, so now, I'm going to leave those to one side, and then I'm going to just check on these wedges, and then we'll hopefully get everything loaded up. Right then, so they needed another 5 minutes, so I cut the camera, which is fine, but they're nice and golden now, so you see, they're all cooked and delicious looking. You can see that, guys? Nicely golden. Okay, so just going to loosen them all up off the pan, and then we're going to get everything pulled together. So, I'm going to make a little sharing platter here. I'm going to pop this out of the way onto here. Cool, right. There's three of us here. It's quite nice sometimes, especially at the moment when we're locked down. You can have come into your family with a nice little sharing platter. Okay, so what we're going to do, or whoever you live with, we're going to take these pieces of halloumi, so 2 pieces of halloumi per burger. Alright, so that one's going to go onto there like that. Just pop it onto the board. Same again with this one. 2 pieces of halloumi per burger, and that's kind of your burger patty, if you like. And then final pieces here. So pop those onto the board. Okay, like that. And then we're going to go for a nice old wedge of fries, like so. On one side. It's like being out for dinner again, getting a big serving platter like this. Oh, I remember what that was like. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to go for a nice big dollop of slaw there as well. And there we go. 20-25 minutes, you've got these amazing vegetarian halloumi burgers, sweet potato fries, and a smoky celeriac slaw. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. As I say, like, share, comment, tell your mates, and drop us a message if there's anything you want to cook, and we'll do our best to make it happen. Cheers guys, see you next week.